So the Super Mario Galaxy movie is finally out, and I had a chance to see it. Let's talk about it. So the way this review is going to work is I want to go ahead and get into the non-spoilers for anyone who has for some reason not seen the movie first, just so I can tell you my thoughts without spoiling it right off the bat. And then from there, we're going to get right into our spoiler discussion. I took a ton of notes from the movie, so I'm kind of just going to walk through the movie in what my notes were. For those who have not seen the movie, you don't necessarily have to have seen the first Super Mario movie to understand this. And that goes with saying you're obviously going to understand more if you see the first one. There are some character arcs that are carried over from the first one. Obviously, we find out the payoff of the post-credit scene from the first movie where they revealed Yoshi. We will have Yoshi in this movie. You could see him in the trailers. We also have a lot of follow-up with Peach and with Mario and with Luigi. Just a lot of character development you're going to see. Even Bowser has some character development that you're going to just notice if you watch this movie. They just seem different. They seem like they've grown. I'm not sure what the time gap is on this movie. I don't know if they ever revealed that. I was trying to find it, but I just couldn't see like a definitive answer of how long that time gap is. If you guys know that, please let me know in the comments. I have a few thoughts here that are non-spoiler related. The first one here is the music. I have to talk about the music. Brian Tyler, excellent. He's the composer from the first one. There's a lot of leitmotifs from various Super Mario games, also non-Super Mario games. Other Nintendo franchises are a part of this. Another note for the score too is Koji Kondo, who was one of the original Mario music creators, was a score consultant on this. So that is really good to know. I think he was a score consultant on the first one as well, but it's really nice to see all of those themes were kind of vetted and verified through the original creator of that music. And Brian Tyler also incorporates some old themes from the Mario 1 movie and also some new themes. The specific Super Mario Galaxy theme I think is really great. There's a Bowser Jr. theme that he does excellent with. Definitely, whenever you guys see this movie, I would recommend listening to the soundtrack afterwards. The only caveat that I have on the soundtrack piece is when I was watching the movie, it felt like the music was almost in a different order than the way it was on the soundtrack. And I don't know if that's just because they don't want to worry about spoilers, but it just felt like the soundtrack itself, if you listen to the album like all the way through, it just feels a little bit out of order. Like there's some music tracks where I'm like, okay, I feel like this was later in the movie. So that was one thing I noticed. Not a huge knock, I just was kind of confused why they did that. I don't know if the score team, moved that music around in post-production or what the case was, if it was recorded earlier. Just a little bit confused on that music piece. I already mentioned this, but I have it in my notes here, is the evolution of Mario and Luigi. I mentioned that I don't know the time gap, but it just seems like Mario looks like, a typical Mario game. He's a lot braver. Luigi has gotten a little bit more bravery than previously. He's still, his scared self, kind of like he is in the Luigi's Mansions games, but there is definitely an evolution there. Another thing that I'm going to mention here, not spoiler related, is the Bowser Jr. and Bowser relationship. I really like what they did with the story of Bowser Jr. and Bowser, the way that they did it. I'll talk about it more in the spoiler section, but I thought that was well done. I really did. They just had a really great character dynamic that played well with each other. And I really did like Benny Safdie as Bowser Jr. I think that was a great hire. One knock on this movie that I'm going to mention right now is if you're going into this movie, expect to not see a ton of Rosalina. She is not really in the movie as much as I thought. I thought this movie could have been a little bit longer too, and maybe some of that runtime extra could have been some time on Rosalina. I just feel like she wasn't in the movie for a quote-unquote galaxy movie. We just didn't see her enough. I would have been excited to see just a little bit more out of that. The next one I want to talk about, we saw the poster. I was really confused before this came out. We have Star Fox in the movie. I actually really liked the voice actor, who's Glenn Powell. The most recent role I remember him in was Twisters back in, I want to say that was 2023. And he was also in Top Gun Maverick, for anyone who has seen that movie. The bunch of people saw that movie, so most people are going to recognize him from Top Gun. But he's a great actor in general, especially on screen. So having him as a voice actor, I didn't expect. I didn't know that he did voice acting. I thought it was a really good hire, and it just felt like the right role for Glenn Powell. So I'm really excited by that Star Fox character. So be expecting him. Another note, a little bummed, but also understand from Nintendo's side, no Charles Martinet. Charles Martinet was Mario's dad, and also I think he was like an arcade guy in the first movie, so he played two different characters. He's just not in this movie. You really aren't going to see much of Brooklyn in general in this movie, so it makes sense why, dad wasn't in this. We don't necessarily need him. We had his backstory from the last movie, so I understand. But it also meant that there was no Charles Martinet. I thought that they would fit him in somewhere, but I was looking through the credits after, and I couldn't find him anywhere. So a little bummed. I know that he's not technically the voice actor for Mario anymore, as of, I think, Super Mario Bros. Wonder was the first game where he wasn't there. So a little bit bummed on that. And then the last thing here for the non-spoilers section is to be aware there are going to be 2 post-credit scenes at the very end of the movie, so you want to make sure you hang around for that. They are going to be important for the quote-unquote next Mario movie. There will be a next one. I'm just going to say that. It makes sense. Just like every Sonic movie has had a post-credit scene, I have a feeling it's going to be the same for all the Mario movies, however many they make. So that's all I have for the non-spoilers discussion. So I am going to get into our spoilers discussion now. So if you don't want to hear spoilers, I'm going to be mentioning a big spoiler in 3, 2, 1. Oh my goodness. We have Rosalina and Peach as sisters? Oh my goodness. Rosalina and Peach sisters. That was like the best reveal in the entire movie, was the backstory about Peach and Rosalina. I did not expect that. I actually, earlier in the movie, when they were mentioning the character story between Peach basically not having family, and we were talking about Rosalina, I actually thought that Rosalina was gonna be Peach's mom. That's just what I thought. Peach is a little younger than Rosalina, but it makes sense that they're sisters, and I'm okay with that reveal. The knock I'm gonna give on it is they don't have parents. They were born out of stardust, I think is what they did in the movie. I'm not really sure I'm a huge fan of the origin there. I would have preferred they had parents, because Mario had parents in this. It would have been cool to have the dynamic of Peach and Rosalina having like a mom and a dad to report to, especially because they're sisters. Like, they were both formed out of stardust. I thought that was cool that they revealed that they're sisters. I wish that there were parents involved and they weren't just like formed out of stardust, because the whole point of the storybook with Rosalina is she left her mama, and it kind of feels like they nixed the mama part of that and they just put Peach in as a sister. And I'm really curious if that's going to be canon in the Mario universe, like in terms of the games. Obviously it's going to be canon in terms of the movie franchise going forward, but Peach and Rosalina be sisters in the games would be really cool. So I'm going to go through some of my notes on the movie here. I took a bunch of notes. So the first thing I wrote down here in my notes is we got the Illumination intro. The Universal logo is very abbreviated compared to like the last time. They don't have like the full Universal logo. Oh, it's just the brief Universal theme. And then Illumination intro, we have the hammer. It's like from the very first Super Mario game, which is really cool. I wrote down music. Obviously, the music is really good the whole movie. I'm probably going to mention it more than once. I'm a huge music buff. Like I said, lots of leitmotifs. Leitmotif, I don't know if you guys would know that is, but it means that there was a lot of themes from various games in this. So that is used throughout. Really enjoyed the music. I really enjoyed the Galaxy theme, specifically the Super Mario Galaxy music theme. If you guys are looking on Spotify, that's the track that I am the most a fan of. Also the Bowser Jr. track, and there's a couple other ones too. I might mention them a little bit later if it comes to me. So the movie opens with the Comet Observatory and all of the Lumas going to bedtime. I thought it was a really good showcase of the Comet Observatory. It looks really good. There's obviously going to be more to the Comet Observatory in a movie than, say, the game. So it makes sense. They all have to have a home. And I thought it was really cool. They also had the book that they were going to be reading. Rosalina was going to read a book about Peach, which is paid off later in the movie. But all the Lumas were like, I want to hear about the plumber, which is Mario. I thought that was really cool that they talked about that. And there's also foreshadowing. So I really like that plot point. And then a Megaleg comes in. I did not expect Megaleg to come in this early in the movie. I expected Megaleg like, 20-30 minutes in, like a third through the movie. And it's basically the first thing that happens is Megaleg comes over and captures Rosalina. And you see Bowser Jr. and Kamek. Kamek's like, oh yeah, it's your first princess. Great. Okay. Sure. That was one of my knocks with the movie when I was saying in the non-spoilers, was just Rosalina. I feel like they have her get captured and then you barely ever see her again until the end of the movie. And even really at the end of the movie, you don't really see her much. So I'm kind of bummed. Like, obviously they have to do that kind of story in order for the plot to happen, but I just wish they could have had a little bit more with Rosalina at some point, because it just feels like she's barely in the movie. You can get a couple segments with her being in the cell captured, but that's about all you get. I wrote down here the Mario Movie 1 theme is very prevalent throughout. It's like, I don't know if you know that theme, but that is the one that's from Mario 1. You're gonna hear that all the time. The Mario Bros Movie 1, not the Mario Bros 1 video game. Just want to make that clear. But it's Brian Tyler's theme. You're gonna hear it prevalent throughout. So one of the tracks on the playlist of the album by Brian Tyler is the original Mario Movie 1 theme. We open up with the inverted pyramid for Mario and Luigi. I wrote down that they seem much braver. And immediately as I said that, Luigi got spooked by something, and I was like, okay, maybe Luigi's not as brave, but Mario definitely is. Mario he seems more confident in himself. Luigi has a little bit of that too, but he also has that, fear in him still. Mario, I feel like, just doesn't have that. He's like, I'm not afraid of anything. I know what I'm doing. We have Yoshi that comes out of the pipe with a flashback of Yoshi's time in the city of Brooklyn, where Mario and Luigi are from, and there's some fun things in that. And then eventually the whole city gets mad at him and he has to go back into a pipe, and that's how he ends up there. I thought that was funny, and it's all in his head, and then Mario and Luigi are just like, okay, what are we doing here? So I thought that was really cool. And then I mentioned here, there is an actual UFO from Bowser Jr. that flies and goes like into that spot where it lands on Planet Bowser. I thought that was really cool, like an actual UFO piloted by Bowser Jr. And I also mentioned that there is the paint, which is a Sunshine reference with the paintbrush, very, very similar to that game. He's also used that paintbrush in other games. The one I can think of is Super Mario Sluggers, or Mario Super Sluggers rather. And then we get to the scene on Peach's birthday. I really enjoyed this scene with Mario and Peach. Mario, you can definitely see like a little bit more of an interest in Peach in this movie. Really enjoy it, and I'm very excited by that as well, because we don't really see that much in the games, and I have a feeling we're going to see a lot more of that relationship build in future movies. And I say movies plural because I bet there's going to be more than one. The big thing here with this scene was the origin of Peach's parasol. And I really like the way they did that. Giving Mario the present to Peach as the parasol origin, it gives it more of a meaning than, her just having a parasol already. I really like that backstory. And it was funny because she was almost like, I don't really like my birthday. And then Mario's like, oh, I guess you don't want your present. She's like, of course I want my present. And so she opens the present. I actually expected it to be a telescope. When I first saw like the length of the box, it looked more like it would be like a telescope. So you could look out on the skies and look at the galaxies. But you know what? I'm more happy that it is the parasol rather than just like a pointless telescope that we're probably never going to see again. The parasol we're definitely going to see throughout. We see it throughout this movie, and I have a feeling we're going to see it more throughout the future movies as well. And then we have the quote-unquote Star Festival. It really is not the Star Festival. It's just a matter of starbits falling. The starbits are very tiny in this movie compared to like the Galaxy game, which it makes sense why they're so tiny. That's probably what the size should have been in Mario Galaxy, but you also need to have it visible on screen, so you can't just make him super tiny. So I understand why they did that. While those are happening, Luma is landing into the Mushroom Kingdom, and Peach and Toad decide to ditch everybody and leave in a launch star. And I was like, really? We can't have Peach and Mario and Luigi and Toad all together for this? I really expected them to all go together, and then Peach is just like, see ya, I'm out of here. So I wish we had more of Peach and Mario together. Yes, we get it at the end of the movie, but I don't know. With that scene, Peach is once again a boss. She is. She's a girl boss. She does really good in this movie. She has some great things in here. And then she puts Mario and Luigi in charge of the kingdom, and we get a world map reference with all of the different problems that Mario and Luigi are fixing. I thought that was really cool. You had a reference to that. And then we get Bowser as well. Our first scene with Bowser is actually further in the movie than you think. And one thing with Bowser that I noticed right off the bat is I just noticed an attitude shift, and I was curious if that was going to hold throughout the movie. I was pretty skeptical at first of if Bowser was going to stay good the whole movie. And the further it got along, I actually was really convinced that he was going to stay good. And obviously there's that plot twist later. Well, it's not even a plot twist. It's just Bowser Jr. helping him remember himself. But I really did think that he was going to actually stay that way after a while. So the movie plot really plays with you in that sense, with Bowser's mood shift, more like an attitude shift. Hanging out with Luigi in a book club. Like, that was kind of cool. And then the castle is taken with Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi inside. All the Toads do escape before the castle's taken. Kamek is eaten by Yoshi. I thought that was hilarious. Yoshi just eats Kamek. They destroy Mega Leg into the UFO. It completely destroyed. So RIP Mega Leg, but that was really a funny scene. They thought that they got Bowser saved, but he actually ends up with Mario and Luigi in the Honey Hive Galaxy, and the castle is not to be seen again, because you have to build a new castle at the end. I put Gateway Galaxy references everywhere. I'm not going to mention them all, but there are a ton of references. You can think of Super Mario Sunshine in this, a ton of Super Mario Galaxy things. The Pikmin show up. I mean, Star Fox is in it. You're going to see a ton of references. That's just how it is. And I think it's Baby DK that takes Toad's bag and takes it hostage. And then I put in a note here. Rosalina is mom. I mentioned that earlier. I thought that she was a mom at first, but ends up she's going to be the sister. So kind of cool. I really do like that. And then we see a villain bar, quote unquote, that everyone's hanging out at. We go back to Mario and Luigi, and Mario does not trust Bowser in the slightest. Mario is just, I don't know if it's jealousy. You can tell that Bowser still has like a little bit of an interest in Peach, but not as much as the first movie. Probably because he got dumped at the altar, but you could tell that Mario's just jealous. And I think that's the reason that he's kind of like that. But also, yeah, Bowser's a bad guy, and it's kind of hard for you to see that happen. And that kind of changes when Mario and Luigi get to the Queen. Because when they get to the Queen, Bowser actually sacrifices himself so he can, work in the Honey Hive Galaxy, which I was really shocked by. But I was like, he's not going to stay there forever. I have a feeling that Bowser Jr. is going to rescue him, and he did. Another scene that I missed too is Mario gets so mad at Bowser that he steps on him. And that makes Bowser lose the mini mushroom from the last movie. So lore from the last movie of eating the mini mushroom, because he got damaged. So Bowser wanted that all along, but he doesn't actually say, oh, I'm big again, time to go destroy the world. He says, I'm big again, let's walk around together. So really, really cool Bowser character arc. I put in here Jump Up Superstar is mentioned. I was trying to find the music track for it, but it's not in the soundtrack. Maybe it'll be in an expanded soundtrack, but it definitely was like a rendition of Jump Up Superstar. There was a bunch of other themes throughout it, but I really enjoyed that music that played as Peach and Toad were heading through the villain area in the Gateway Galaxy. And then we see Wart. I don't know much about Wart because I haven't played that game, but I thought the sequence in that room where Wart sends a bunch of enemies and Peach is once again a boss, like I mentioned, very cool. I thought it was a great sequence. We get into Space Junk. Space Junk is the galaxy that the boss fight is on. This is one knock on the music that I'm really not a fan of. When we go to Space Junk Galaxy, both when Bowser and Bowser Jr. go, and when Mario and Peach and everybody else go, there's no Space Junk theme. I love the Space Junk music. Yes, it's a little quieter, it's a little more relaxed, but there is no Space Junk music in the movie at all. At least none that I saw. And I listened to the soundtrack a couple of times just to kind of look for it, and I didn't hear it. So they have the Bowser's Galaxy reactor that's in there, but why do you not have Space Junk Galaxy music in Space Junk Galaxy? That's my one big knock with the music, is they didn't have that prevalent when they went to the Space Junk Galaxy. There's also just another knock here. In general, not a lot of galaxies. The only galaxies I can really think of is there's the Honey Hive Galaxy, there's Gateway Galaxy, there's that little Dino Galaxy wherever they end up there, and then Space Junk, which has the Bowser's planet. So it's not even like a Bowser's Galaxy, it's like Space Junk Galaxy. So those are really the only galaxies I remember. So only 4 galaxies in a Mario Galaxy movie doesn't seem like a ton. And that, once again, goes with the runtime issue that I have, but it's fine. Can't have a ton of runtime. I put in here that I was confused by Bowser because Bowser Jr. actually seems like a better villain than Bowser in this movie. It was crazy to hear like, oh, Bowser Jr., he was in boarding school. He got kicked out. He got expelled from boarding school. He's so motivated by this little bedtime story that Bowser describes. Okay, a bedtime story, and now you're like, I want to take over the world because of a bedtime story that my dad read me once in a while when I was super young. That seems a little crazy for Bowser Jr. In general, he's a better villain. I mean, he made a Bowser planet, the exact same planet from his story. That's pretty epic. You can definitely see the love for Bowser from Bowser Jr., which was surprising because Bowser did not expect him to be that receptive. I mentioned in here Rob. We see Rob in the movie when they're telling us where to go. He's like, oh, it's right over there. And he just like stays there forever. I mentioned the Pikmin because they came in there. And then Star Fox. The Star Fox theme that like is prevalent when they first see Star Fox, that was super cool. I don't know if that's like actual Star Fox music, but it's like, I don't know, it felt like fun. Star Fox's ship was really cool. That whole sequence was awesome. And then Mario and Luigi turn into babies. I thought that was an interesting move. That was just an homage to, I think, Super Mario World or Super Mario Land, whichever game is the one that has the babies and Yoshi. That's just a reference to that. And then when they shoot the dinosaur, that was funny. They shoot the dinosaur on the dinosaur planet, and they shrink the dinosaur into like this little baby dino, which was hilarious. And like Toad becomes a baby. So many babies. It's just funny. We get into the observatory rescue. They're all trapped on this planet because they had gotten shot by Bowser. And then Luigi's like, breaker. We need some help. This is Luigi, over. And then the Lumas are the ones that come and pilot the Comet Observatory and pick them up. I thought that was cool. And that's where Peach obviously learns that she has a sister in Rosalina, because she was confused why she was going to be saving this random person. She just felt like it was right. But little did she know it was going to be her sister. And I put nice music again. We had the, like I said, Bowser's Galaxy Reactor. That's the final boss from Galaxy 1. Thought that was cool. I put Team of 4. We had the Team of 4, which was going to be Peach, Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi, which was really cool. We had that team go down into the Bowser's planet to try and sneak up on Bowser and Bowser Jr. Everyone knows the reference, a Mario 1 reference to the final boss. That was awesome. Like the whole sequence with Bowser Jr. controlling the game, trying to mess up Mario and Peach when they're going through that kind of whole sequence. And then Bowser shows up on the bridge, and then Mario pulls a Mario 1, and he uses the axe, and Bowser goes into the lava. That was hilarious. That whole sequence, just huge reference. I just thought it was great. Bowser goes into the lava just like he does in a few games, but specifically Galaxy, so that is a reference to Galaxy, but also he goes into the lava in Mario 1. So that was cool. I expected him to go down, and I expected him to come back. I actually expected Dry Bowser. So my wife, we were watching the movie together, actually expected a giant Bowser to come out. And actually is not a bad theory for him to come out as a giant Bowser either. But it didn't seem right from me. I was like, I think it's going to be Dry Bowser, because we saw like earlier in the movie all of the Koopas, when they would go on that roller coaster, when they came back up after the drop into the lava, they were all dry bones. So I was like, I'm expecting Dry Bowser. And then Dry Bowser shows up, and it was epic. We have Mario facing off against Dry Bowser and Bowser Jr., while Peach is going to save Rosalina. So that was cool. The whole sequence of Peach going to save Rosalina, Mario saying, "We got this," and then holding Peach's hand. It was cool. Like I said, there's a lot of good in this movie. I really did enjoy it. We get Drill Mario, we get Cloud Luigi, we get the Blimp Yoshi. I wrote it down, and I'm not reading my notes. And then we get a Game & Watch reference from Luigi and the paintbrush. That was cool. The Ruined Dragon shows up. Ruined Dragon was cool. It was like, I don't know, 15-20 seconds, but you get the ruined music, and then Mario goes and saves Bowser Jr. after the Ruined Dragon eats him. Obviously, that was not Bowser Jr.'s intent, but that was cool. That whole sequence of creating the Ruined Dragon, getting eaten by the Ruined Dragon, and then Mario's like, you know what, I'll be nice, I'm gonna save him. And then they save him, and then Rosalina's saved, and, it's a quick ending. I wish that there was a little bit more to the ending. Like the ending is basically everyone's saved. Let's fly back to the Mushroom Kingdom because where's the castle? But they build a castle and everything like that. And then there's 2 post-credit scenes that I want to mention and just talk about briefly. We had the jail and the little scene with Star Fox and Toad. Star Fox had his ship repaired from Rosalina. And I actually really do think that there's going to be a spin-off. There's going to be a Star Fox movie. Like the way that ending was, just feels like there's going to be a movie with Star Fox. And Glenn Powell is such a good actor. I could see it. And I could see it doing well. And a lot of people are probably going to ask, like, why do you put Star Fox in this movie? I think it's for that, to have a spin-off in general. I also think that if there ever was to be a new Star Fox game, not a lot of people know, young kids, who Star Fox is. And I think that this is a really good marketing push for like anything Star Fox. Like if you're going to put out a Star Fox game at some point, this is a really good push because you're getting the general public out to see Star Fox in the theater. So it makes a ton of sense why they put Star Fox in here. And if they have a spin-off, a bunch of people are going to see the movie because they've seen this one. Just having Glenn Powell as Star Fox, it's a well-known name and he does a great job. I saw online, I was reading, is he pushed the team at Nintendo for a Star Fox sequel, and that was one of the reasons he actually took the role. So if I read into that a little bit, it sounds like there's going to be a Star Fox movie at some point. And it's cool that they're all in the same universe, because it makes me question, because we have a Zelda movie coming out next year. If the Zelda movie is going to be in the same kind of quote-unquote universe as the Mario movie, especially if we get a Mario Zelda, like, you know, movie where they basically combine them, I think that would be cool, like a crossover. Another thing with the jail, before I forget, Bowser Jr. and Bowser trying to escape the jail, and the Luma that we had not seen the whole movie. I didn't even remember that was a basically point in the trailer. They literally put that trailer scene in the post credits. I did not expect that, but I also totally forgot that Luma existed. So I guess it got me. I'm sure they'll be out the next movie and we'll see him again. And then we have Daisy in the post-credit scene. I'm curious how that's going to play into everything. I'm curious what the relation is, because I always thought that like Daisy and Peach were cousins. Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought that they were always cousins, and that's what we were known as. The only note that I have here that I really haven't discussed is I really wish in this movie we had more relationship interactions. So Mario interacting with Luigi, Mario interacting with Peach and Rosalina. We really didn't get that. Especially after the reveal that they're going to be sisters, I really wish that we got more. I'm sure we'll see Peach and Rosalina in the next movie, and we'll get that relationship seen a little bit more, but you really only get their hands touching, and that's really the only interaction that they have in the entire movie. So after revealing that they're sisters, I just did not feel like they had enough of that relationship shown. And Bowser and Bowser Jr., it's shown a good bit, but I still wish we had a little bit more. Those are my thoughts. I don't know how long this review is. I have a feeling it's gonna be pretty long, but I was really excited by this movie. If I had to grade it, I would probably give it an 8.5 or a 9. Probably more towards the 8.5. I just thought that there was a few things that they could have done better. Like I said, the relationship interactions, not a lot of galaxies. I wish the runtime was a little bit longer, and just Rosalina being featured more. Those were the biggest knocks that I give it that gives me an 8.5. I do still think that it's better than the first one. I'd probably give the first one an 8. So it's not that much better than the first one, but in my opinion, it takes what the Mario Bros. Movie 1 does, and it builds off of it. Like I said, you don't have to see the first one in order to see this. If you stuck through this whole review and you haven't seen the movie yet, please go see the movie. I really recommend. It's a good movie. It's good for general audiences. It's good for families. It's good for just generic Mario fans. So you guys will have a great time with this movie. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching.